Welcome to Varsity Voices Football. I'm Jeff DiVeronica. He's James Johnson, here to talk about the Final Four in the Class AA bracket. And James, these are when the big games happen, right? And you talked to a player last week that called Rhinos Stadium, where the Final Four is going to be for AA and A, the big house. That's usually Blue Cross Arena, but that's kind of cool that they think of the stadium that way, huh?
Yes, sir. That's the destination of almost every team in the section at the start of the year, once the summer workouts start. So.
Well, AA will be Sunday at Rhinos Stadium. The first matchup will be top-seeded Victor against McQuaid. The 1 o'clock kickoff. The 4 o'clock kickoff is Pittsford against Fairport. We're going to go reverse here. We're going to start with the late game first. We're going to talk about the Pittsford Panthers and the Fairport Red Raiders, East Side rivals. Pittsford rolled with a quarterfinal win over Hilton. That didn't surprise you that much, did it?
No. Pittsford's been rolling just about every week except when they ran up against Victor. They didn't have their full lineup the first couple of weeks, and they still put up a lot of points.
Well, let's look at some highlights from both those wins for Pittsford and for Fairport. The Red Raiders handled Schrader 28-19. Pretty tough game there. But Marquise Carter, talk about tough. This guy's run for 100 yards in 3 straight games, and 3 touchdowns in each game. He is a feature back for sure. Yeah,
he was one of the players that Pittsburgh was missing early in the season. Steady, consistent, big, fast, tough physical runner.
And a good run here by Colby Barker, the quarterback for the Panthers. They were decisive. I'm not surprised. I think this thing is headed to a 1 against the number 2 seed. It's been that way. Week 3, both these teams, Fairport and Pittsford, their only loss is to Victor. Pittsford lost in week 3, 42-15, when they committed a lot of penalties and were banged up. Fairport lost in week 6, 34-10. I don't play that game much, but I think Pittsford's been primed for this. And I think they're the team to beat here in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think the question comes down to whether Fairport can stand up to that running game. Pounding. I think they may have lost another starter during last week's win. Again, I mean, it's not like the backups can't play. It's just a matter of breaking the routine of a football team. You've been doing the same thing for weeks and weeks and weeks, and all of a sudden you have to kind of change on the fly.
That was a couple of big run stops here. First by Khalil Fenn of Fairport, and then linebackers Billy Bolia and Zach Condell combined there for the stop, and just good defense there, and I think that's going to be the key for Fairport. Can they slow down Pittsford's attack, which has been really run-driven? Can Colby Barker beat you in the air?
I think that is still up in the air.
No pun intended?
Yeah, what he'll have to do, what he does give Pittsford is an element of elusiveness. If the play breaks down, he can take off or, run around until he can get the ball in the air to maybe a receiver who's open downfield.
Now, I said last week, and it's kind of strange to say that the top seed is kind of under the radar a little bit, but I don't think everyone's talking about just how good Victor is. Maybe I'm not talking to the right people, but they're really good. They've beaten everybody and handled them pretty well. They had that one stretch where they won by a couple games by a touchdown, but I mean, how good? I mean, this is their tournament to lose, right?
I think they're the favorites. I think that what happened is they had so many 1 versus 2 matchups, and once they dispose of those teams, dispose of those opponents, everyone's just kind of waiting for the big matchup. Sectional final.
They won their quarterfinal matchup in the rain on Friday night, 39-0 over the combined team of East School of the Arts and World of Inquiry. Let's look at some of the big plays for Victor in that ball game. And we talk about the Victor running game. We've talked about all year long, but you're going to see some plays here from their quarterback Clay Blyer, a couple touchdown passes. So we're going to look at those clips right now for the Blue Devils here. This one is going to go to you see him rolling right, good poise, and he finds Andrew Russell for a big gain there. Next up, you're going to see Russell using his legs to go around the end. They like to run, but I wonder all year if they've just been kind of holding on to this passing game to kind of springing upon people now.
I think they've been trying to develop it. They've vowed since August that we're going to try and be more balanced. They've said that before, but they're trying to really stick with it. And Russell, he's the type of kid that it's one reason why they think they'll be able to do it. They call him an X factor.
Good throw right there to Mitchell Kane by Blyer, and then here comes Zach Estabrooks with a TD run. Obviously, he's a featured back for them. It's going to be tough to stop, and I think McQuaid is going to have its hands full with Victor. That's just what I think. Defensively, there's a safety right there, a big tackle by Mitchell Carnes, and then we're going to finish off. We're going to go with some McQuaid highlights. And, you know, McQuaid, you saw him up close finally.
Yes, I
and,
did.
Last week, we weren't sure they could handle all those playmakers from rush. And you heard about that on the sideline when you were taking some video, didn't you?
Yes, senior linebacker or lineman Ricky King came up to me during the game and said, you know, I'm going to hold it to you what you said. And he reminded me that I said that McQuaid's defense wouldn't be able to stop Rush's offense, or that's what he said, I said. And
well, you did say that. I was here. I heard it. You definitely made it sound like the Rush had too much for McQuaid in this ball game, and they did in the season opener. Yeah. But McQuaid answered the critics, and they got it done. And
they only allowed one touchdown, won the game, moved the ball smartly on offense. Defense looked very good.
Cullen Lynch, 13 tackles. King had 12 tackles, 2.5 sacks. So he was a playmaker. And Mike Carnes was a bigger part. I called him Mitchell earlier, Mike. 9 tackles there. I want to get your impressions of sophomore quarterback Hunter Walsh, 13-18 through the air, 153 yards. This is a guy that became the starter in week 2. From what you saw, what do you think of the young man?
I like him. Smart, moves the ball, doesn't do anything wild. It kind of fits into their style. Smart play calling. Nothing spectacular, but they know how to move the ball steadily, steadily, steadily.
And it's going to be key for them to hold on to that ball because they're not going to want to have that Victor offense on the field much.
No, well, you don't want your defense getting pounded too from that running game over and over and over. So
look, AA and A were both chalk so far, right, to the semifinals.
Yeah.
I think this bracket is chalk. I'm going to go with the favorites. We'll see what happens.
If you're going to make me pick again, I'll go with chalk again.
You'll go with chalk again?
I'm sure I'll hear
There you go, underdogs. We've served it up for you. Take it and run on Sunday at Rhinos Stadium, the Class A AA semifinals. Thanks for watching us right here on Varsity Voices Football at DemocratandChronicle.com.